Ladies and gentlemen, Tesla stock is down over 2% today. If things go right heading into tomorrow, this could fuel another large rally for Tesla. I'll explain this throughout today's video. Now we will also go over your Tesla stock news today because there is news today. We will look at the option activity, the short positioning, overall sentiment around Tesla, as well as broader markets. Now, keep in mind, Nvidia is reporting earnings right at about the time you guys are seeing this video, and we will cover that extensively in the next video. I think it's going to be very important, not obviously just for the broader markets, but for Tesla as well. And you don't want to miss that video coming out at 8 p.m. tonight. First and foremost, Tesla stock is selling off today alongside the rest of big tech. Nvidia is down almost 1% heading into their earnings report. Google's down 2%, Microsoft down 1%, Meta's down a third of 1%, Apple's down almost 1%, and Amazon is down almost 2%. It's one of those sell first, kind of evaluate things later. The only big tech name is Netflix that is in the green today. So there's definitely some fear heading into tomorrow, and I would say rightfully so. I mean, Nvidia has done so well. It's pricing in so much good news. You really need a blockbuster, just knock your socks off earnings from Nvidia. And that's why I've been a little bit nervous myself heading into this earnings, because the odds are or the odds are starting to be more tilted towards the downside. Okay? That's not a favorable position to be in for Nvidia. 25% of the earnings growth this quarter is expected to come from Nvidia. 20% of the S&P 500's gain this year has come from Nvidia. Like, these are not small numbers, okay? So rightfully so, Wall Street's paying very close attention to what Nvidia is about to report to us. Now, with that said, as I've talked about on this channel a couple of times before, whether Nvidia does well or does not do well can have big implications for Tesla. But I think, long story short, no matter what happens, Tesla can still do well, okay? And let me explain this a little bit more. So for a while there, Tesla and Nvidia were kind of inversing each other, okay? Nvidia would do well, Tesla would not do well. Tesla would do well, Nvidia would not do well. And it comes down to options. Okay, so for this year, Tesla has been number 2 for the most heavily traded stock, single stock options, right? Nvidia has been number 1. But from day to day or week by week, month by month, it can change. Okay, so Nvidia can dominate one week, Tesla dominates the next week, right? And when Nvidia is doing well, everyone piles into Nvidia options. When Tesla's doing well, people tend to pile into Tesla options. Well, and then it flip-flops, okay? So the option dollars kind of change hands from Nvidia to Tesla and vice versa. So if Nvidia does poorly, it doesn't necessarily have to drag down Tesla. It doesn't have to even drag down the broader markets. In fact, the healthiest thing to see at this point would be Nvidia, that presumably sells off, and the rest of the markets actually rally. Now, keep in mind, no matter what happens today in after hours or what happens even with the conference call, we really won't know what's going to happen with Nvidia until tomorrow. There's been many earnings now over the past 2.5 years that Nvidia has really gained popularity, where the stock will be up 5-10% and then sell off, coming, let's say, tomorrow, right? Or vice versa. The stock's down a lot heading into the next trading day after earnings, and then the stock rallies a lot. So you really are not going to know the market impacts for probably the first couple of hours coming tomorrow morning. And that's why I think this video is so relevant even before we actually have the results from Nvidia. Now, there's a chance that Nvidia has really good earnings and everything rallies. there's a chance that Nvidia has bad earnings and everything sells off. Again, the healthiest thing to see would be Nvidia that actually sells off and the rest of the markets rally instead, because Nvidia is such a large company at this point. If Nvidia does sell down, and it's not a terrible report, but it's not a knock your socks off report, say the stock's down 3 to 5%, which is kind of my prediction, then it would seem likely that some money would go from Nvidia into other areas of our markets, as really the potential risk reward balance does change. And I have to be honest, I do not like Nvidia from a purely risk reward standpoint. For that stock to double, it would have to hit a $7 trillion market cap. I don't like that nearly as much as I like Tesla doubling and hitting a $2 trillion market cap and becoming a $600+ stock. I would take those odds any day before Nvidia doubling again from here. But hey, what do I know? Again, Tesla is down about 2.5% today, following the fear of potentially Nvidia not doing as well as expected. And really, it's just a lot of algorithms that are, trading around big tech today, right? And it's not just big tech, because pretty much everything is selling off today. If you look at the RSP is down 1/3 but a lot of other stocks are just getting decimated. Okay, if we actually go ahead and take a look at CNBC, the Russell is down 0.2%, which is actually a good sign. The Nasdaq's down almost 1%, S&P's down 0.64%, and the Dow's only down 0.2%. So this is actually healthy from the standpoint of the Russell and the Dow are outperforming the S&P and the Nasdaq. That's a good sign. Okay, yes, there is red out there, broadly speaking, but this relative outperformance is a good sign for strength that could come into the small caps, into cyclicals, into value names if Nvidia does disappoint. And again, we won't know how the rotation is really going to look until tomorrow morning, until we get into the trading day. Algorithms are going to respond to Nvidia earnings and likely sell everything off if Nvidia has not the greatest earnings. Now, the VIX is up 11.3% today to 18.2. So there's definitely some fear heading into these results after the closing bell today from Nvidia. With that said, let's go ahead and pull up Ortex and take a look at the option activity for Tesla stock today. Now, you do see 130 different trades totaling $179.24 million with a positive order value of 97%. Again, this is another day of just crazy strong option activity for Tesla. This is now 3 or 4 days in a row with 90+% positive order values. That is abnormally strong. Okay, now you typically see a fair bit of bullish option activity in Tesla, but this is wild. Okay, this is not what you would necessarily expect to see. And you're getting some pretty damn bullish trades as well coming in. Take a look at these calls. This one's a December 6th, 390 call worth $168,000. Like a 390 call that expires in 3 weeks. That's wild. A December 6th, 380 call for $220,000. A December 20th, $400 call for $290,000. And a 210 December 20th call for $242,000. So someone is betting that Tesla could basically hit a new all-time high by December 20th. I don't know what, is going on here, but perhaps someone has some inside information that we do not. You typically do not see trades like that all too often. Like, that is a very, very bullish trade. Now, here's one of the main headlines for Tesla today over on StockTwits. It says Tesla shares are down 2% following insider selling. Specifically, director Robin M. Denholm sold 112,390 shares of the business's stock in a transaction on Friday, November 15th. The shares were sold at an average price of $314 for a total value of $35.3 million. Following the completion of the sale, the director now directly owns 85,000 shares of the company's stock, valued at $26,727,000. The trade was a decrease of 56.94% in their ownership of the stock. So it's typically never a good sign, or I don't want to say it like that, because people sell stock for all kinds of reasons. Maybe she wants to buy a boat. Maybe she wants to buy a new house, put her kids through college, or maybe a combination of that. Who knows, right? That's the point. It's not a confident building sign, though, for investors when you see directors of a company selling basically a majority of their position. Okay, that's not something that you like to see. Okay, now with that said, let's take a look at what the shorts are doing today. You have 2.81% short interest of free float, $27.12 billion sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 78.37 million shares that are currently sold short. Here on the day today, you have return shares of 1.33 million, borrowed shares of 373,000. That means you're actually seeing almost 1 million shares today being covered on, which is definitely a good sign when Tesla is down 2.62%. I mean, that's showing that hedge funds, institutions, they want to take the opportunity while they can, while Tesla is red, to cover on their short position. That's typically a good thing when shorts cover on red days. It really shows that they just don't want to be short in Tesla, and this is probably not something that is going to continue to push the stock lower. Okay, now sentiment is neutral today for Tesla at 49. 1 day ago it was bearish at 41. Message volume is normal at 45. Yesterday was normal at 50, so a little bit less activity over here on StockTwits, which is going to happen when a stock is down almost 3%. Participation ratio today is normal at 54. Also did get NIO earnings today. You have some positives here with vehicle deliveries that increased 11.6% year over year to 61,855 units. Margin improved to 13.1% from 11% a year ago. Gross margin increased. Cash flow turned positive in Q3. But you do have some negatives as well, with total revenues that decreased 2.1% year over year. Vehicle sales declined 4.1% year over year. Net loss increased 11% year over year, and operating loss increased 8.1%. So yes, Tesla, NIO, completely different businesses with really different business models when it comes down to it. It's hard to even place Tesla and NIO even remotely in the same category, because I don't think they are. But seeing another Chinese car company, which China is Tesla's most important market, ultimately not having great earnings is something that doesn't have a positive impact on Tesla stock, at least in the very short term. That said, Tesla has secured a new $180 million Megapack contract with EDP Renewables to provide battery energy storage for Arizona's grid. The facility will have enough capacity to power up to 45,000 homes for 4 hours during peak electricity demand. Also in the news today, the CEO of Volkswagen America has suddenly and unexpectedly resigned. Volkswagen says, quote, he stepped down from his position on his own request. Apparently, Kim Kardashian has posted a bunch of spicy new photos of her with the Tesla Cybercab and Optimus robot. Yes, this was a paid promotion, but it does look like you're probably hitting that right demographic that should be exposed to Tesla. So I ultimately agree with this kind of advertising. Ford has announced today it will cut around 14% of its European workforce, blaming losses in recent years amid weak demand for electric vehicles, poor government support for the shift to EVs, and competition from subsidized Chinese rivals. With that said, a big story this morning is Target, that is falling about 21% following their earnings. Now, this is one of those things where Wall Street loves to run away with this and say the consumer's terrible and this and that. But Target is a premium brand. It's like Myers here in Michigan. Things are more expensive than Walmart. And if you're selling the same things that are more expensive than competition, you can't expect to do that well in this current economy. Like, for an example, I just went to Myers this morning, and because I forgot my daughter's coat at the house. It wasn't super cold last night, but it's getting kind of cold today. So I had to run there this morning, and I was looking at toothbrushes because I go through toothbrushes like crazy. I don't know why. It's just I like to have new toothbrushes. I was looking at the Myers toothbrush, and it was $9 for the same toothbrush. I get it $2 at Dollar General, right? Or a Walmart for that matter. I mean, you're only going to sell so many toothbrushes if they're $9, right? So people kind of extrapolate this to the rest of the consumer areas of our markets when I think there's very little or no correlation between, earnings at Dollar General or other consumer names, Walmart, right? TJX that reported earnings this morning, and Target. So I think this is a little bit of fear coming out. The big headline, though, at least for the broader markets that hit markets earlier in the trading day today, is Ukrainian forces are attacking Russian territory with Storm Shadow missiles. So an escalation of the already tense, relations in that area. And it looks like Russia's going to retaliate in some way. And overall, it's just uncertainty, and markets do not like this kind of uncertainty. So I actually think part of today's three parts, right? It is Target missing earnings. I think this is the least of the most important things that's affecting markets, but we got to list that. Target down over 20%. It's not great for markets. You have Nvidia earnings, the kind of, fear of the unknown coming out today. And you have war escalation news. Now, I think Nvidia could put to rest some of the fears impacting markets today, potentially with their earnings. I don't like the setup. I will say that again, but it doesn't necessarily mean that markets have to be terrible. Now, as far as Target earnings, the markets will get over it. As far as war fears, the markets will get over those as well, as long as you don't see more escalation in that region, which does not look likely at this point. But war fears only go so far until the U.S. is, again, directly involved. Now, from Tesla's perspective, I think Tesla actually looks really good here. Okay, call me crazy if you want to, but Tesla, ever since April of 2024, has been hitting higher lows consistently. Okay, once you bottomed here at $138.80, you went up, right? You hit a low, and then you went up again, you came down, but you still didn't even come down to the lows that you hit previously in June. So that was the low in August 5th, the freak out from the yen carry trade. Okay, you went up again, came back down, hit a new higher low. You went up again, came down, hit a new higher low, went up again, came down, hit a new higher low. So this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 higher lows in a row ever since April of this year. It makes sense why option buyers are starting to target Tesla at new all-time highs by the end of this year. As long as Nvidia doesn't blow the ball, right? Just break the puck on the freaking floor, right? Hockey player picks up the puck and throws it out the rink. As long as nothing dramatic happens with Nvidia earnings today, and subsequent, like a 20% fall or something just black swanish. As long as nothing like that happens, I think Tesla's setting up for another huge rally. I mean, that's just what it looks like to me. And this could send us to $400+ per share. And I think that's what, again, the option activity is signaling could happen for Tesla in the not so distant future. Again, those December 20th 410 calls, like $300,000. These are hedge funds and institutions, aka smart money, actually making these trades. It's not retail investors. These are not gamblers from that perspective. Some people think Tesla is going to break out further, and I think from a technical perspective, it looks really good. Now, as well as that, I just drew this trend line here on the charts. Literally just did it during this video, and you can see a pretty clear defined trend line of resistance. Okay, this looks like resistance. If you can get above this level, which is going to be at about 350 or so, that's where you could trigger a larger rally. Now, last time we got above 350, it's actually happened a couple times since November 11th, which was just 9 days ago, but you were never able to close above that 350 level. You kind of always got pushed down by the end of the day. If you can close above 350, well, you did close above 350 on November 11th, but besides that, you have not. If you can get above that and push higher, yeah, you could be looking at a gamma squeeze, a short squeeze, something out of this world that we have not seen in a while for Tesla. You think this rally so far has been impressive? Yeah, there is justifiable rationale to Tesla stock potentially running well into the 400s, again, in the not so distant future. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. The video at 8 p.m. tonight, I think, will provide a lot more context with new information. And I won't be afraid to let you know if things look really good or really bad. So hopefully you guys tune in with us. Nonetheless, that's going to do it for this video. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to come join the trading community, get access to all the trades that I'm making today, the trades on Nvidia, on other earnings, on the rest of the markets, check out that link down below in the description of this video. But again, I will see you guys in the next one.